I'm Jeremy Hudgens with Asylum Gaming. I'm a gamer with cerebral palsy. Um, just a few things about myself. I'm 36-year-old, so I've been gaming for quite some time. Uh, and I wanted to do this little series about how being disabled and also being a gamer has, first of all, it's been an amazing ride with gaming. I love games. I love console gaming. I like a little bit of PC gaming, but I'm mostly a console guy. But this is the whole series to this is telling you guys how I've adapted and how hopefully this can get to across to other people who are disabled, that if they can't do it, or they need tips and tricks on how to try to do something. I'm what they call a right hemiplegic, okay, with the cerebral palsy. So I'll show you kind of the whole deal. So as you can see, the hand just kind of doesn't, it's there, but we deal with it, and I don't really use it when I game. I use this one. Um, how I game, I normally take the controller and, doesn't matter, Nintendo controller, Sega controller, PlayStation controller, um, Xbox controller, and what I'll do is I'll sit on the ground and I'll butt it up against my leg, and that's how I play. Um, it's kind of unique, and being that I've gamed for so long, I know where all the buttons are. I've memorized all that good stuff, so I don't even have to look at the controller anymore. I can actually game with just looking at the TV screen. Started out with Nintendo back in the day, 1986. We moved to Ohio from Kansas with my aunt and uncle, and of course they had gotten their kids a Nintendo, and they were playing it, and I'm going, wow, how do I do that? They're doing it with two hands, and I was like, oh, that's so cool, and I couldn't. I was like, wow, I need to do this. So I sat down, and it took me a couple of days. But I tried it on the table. I tried it on the top of my leg. I tried having the controller, just different ways of manipulating the controller. And I finally figured it out to actually sit on the floor and then to actually butt it up against my leg. And after a while, after a couple of weeks, I finally got it so where I could, realize where the A button was, where the B button was, so that just needed to look at the computer screen. Um, After I did Nintendo, actually, we digressed to Atari, and of course, you got Atari. Its controller was, of course, a joystick. So of course, you had the little square thing, and then you had the button and the actual joystick. I actually used my right hand when it came to that. It was a little tough. I was able to play a little bit. Some of the games were hard, and I didn't do very well, but it was what it was. Of course, the SNES, that was a little bit of a challenge because there was 4 buttons and then two on the top. Sega wasn't so bad. It had the 3 buttons. That was kind of weird just because of how I was so used to Super Nintendo at first. So like having the 3 buttons like A, B, and C, and then you just have them kind of all in a row. That was really kind of strange. To where that took me a little bit longer, especially the first game I think we ever got for Sega. Well, it was Sonic. I think the second game we ever bought though was Mortal Kombat 3, so it was definitely a different setup, and I had to relearn everything on how to do that. We'll go into the other consoles that I've played in the next couple of videos, because like I said, I want to kind of make this a little mini series. But one of the things I wanted to talk about, how hard or easy it was to adapt. I kind of touched on that a little bit ago. The Nintendo wasn't so bad. Like I said, it took me a little bit, but I was able to get that. Atari's a little tough just because, with having that joystick, I had a lot of time to try out stuff and how to do it. It wasn't so bad at a couple of games like Pitfall. Everybody's actually here. Let me grab it. Everybody's favorite non-existent game that nobody likes, which is well, ET. Doesn't look very well because of the lighting, but we'll deal with it. But Atari was a little bit tough. We got through it. Wasn't so bad. The Super Nintendo, when they integrated the 4 buttons, and then that, of course, you had the 2 L and R, the L and R on the top. That was definitely a challenge. I was glad that even though you used most of the buttons on the SNES, I was glad that you only really had to worry kind of about 2 at any given time, to where it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I need to hit all these at once. Even, with like the fighting games and whatnot, you were just, kind of focusing on 1 or 2 buttons at a time. It was kind of easy to get to. I mean, it took me a little bit longer, but we got by and we did it. Was it frustrating? Oh God, yes. Oh, I can't tell you how frustrating it was to try. It really didn't get frustrating until Super Nintendo. Because like I said, being that Nintendo was 2 buttons, that's not a big deal. The joystick thing, that was a little bit tough, but we got by. But the 4 buttons, well, actually, technically, you want to call them 6 because you have the 2 bumpers up top. That was a little bit more. That's when it started getting frustrating. And that kind of, as you can tell, I mean, I got by. It took some time, but we were able to get through it, and I enjoyed gaming on the Super Nintendo. Gotta love those 16 bits of fun. Now, I also wanted to talk about, and we'll touch on this more too in later videos, but I wanted to touch on how the gaming industry has helped or has not helped with handicapped or disabled players. I say handicapped or disabled. I guess I'm kind of old school on that. Bear with me, please. But that's kind of how it was. Really, nobody ever thought about gamers who had a physical disability. And that's okay. I understand that. Back in about 97, 98, I remember actually seeing a controller in Louisiana for the PlayStation 1 that said it was a one-handed controller. And I was like, okay, well, I looked at it and it was like $20 or something. I don't remember. And I was like, well, I already learned how to do the controller regular, so I'm not going to sit there and relearn it, because it actually kind of looked like a presentation pointer a little bit. It was really weird. It was kind of like an oval shaped. It would have fit in the hand proper, but like all the buttons were weird, and I wasn't having it, and I was just like, wow, okay. So I never got it. Some of the other controllers, like I can only play the ones that, just as long as they don't include the nunchuck. Now, I have tried the sports games, especially the one with archery. I found a goofy way to do it, and man, does it look really weird in my hand when I do it, but I was able to do that. And like I said, wowed some of my friends, because it's like, holy smokes. But that's an issue that has always come along. Let's see. One of the gaming consoles that I kind of have a problem with is actually Nintendo, especially the new stuff. The Wii, the Wii U, and even the new Wii that's coming out, or I'm sorry, the new Nintendo thing that's coming out, which the name of the system escapes me right now, and we'll put that in there somewhere, I'm sure. But that's the issue, is like they don't consider gamers that have a physical disability, and that's one of the things that we're going to talk about through these next couple of videos, is what can we do as gamers that have that disability to say, hey, give us an option. Okay, well, you can buy a peripheral for $20. Well, that's or however much a controller is, whatever. Well, that's great and fine and dandy and all, but because I'm hindered and need that, now I have to spend extra money. That's not fair to us. We didn't ask to have, these things happen. So why do we have to spend more money? You see what I'm saying? And it's not to be a Debbie Downer. I'm not saying that to say that, but I wish we had the option. Because I would love, like Guitar Hero, I would love to play Guitar Hero. Love to play. I can't though, because you got to strum and you got to hit the buttons at the same time. And that's an issue that I have. I had actually called Guitar Hero and I called Rock Band. Guitar Hero flat out said, no, we just don't do that. And I was kind of like, well, but I want to play the game. I would love to. Can you do something? Can you even just make a mode that all I got to do is just hit the buttons? You know what I mean? Just like, I don't strum, just hit the buttons. I can do that all day long. They blatantly just said no, and I was kind of disappointed on that. I called Rock Band, and I was like, hey, handicapped gamer here, would love to play. I know I do the vocal part, because I can, sing and everything, but would love to. I'm not even asking for much. Help me out with the guitar. And they were like, oh, that's a great idea, and you should tell it to the programmers. And of course, you leave your message, and do they call you back or give you feedback? No. It's I'm only one person. It's one of those things of you need to have your voice heard on those types of things. I really wish that I could do those types of things. Like I said, I love like some of the music that they have in there. Holy smokes, Pantera, Black Sabbath, Aerosmith, Metallica. I would love to do that stuff, but it's really tough to do, and it bothers me. This is starting to get a little bit long. I want to thank everybody once again for letting me speak my mind on gaming, being the disabled and whatnot. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment or shoot me an email. We'll put all that in the description down below. So once again, thanks everybody for listening to me rant for a couple of minutes. You guys have a good one. Until then, we'll see ya.